So Natasha, at the Ontario Black History Society, what does your kind of leadership and your experience show you about the characterization of racism in Canada?
Well, it's part of the Canadian narrative, this idea of Canadian exceptionalism as it relates to either the enslavement of African people and Indigenous people, a history of, deep-seated anti-Black racism that was upheld by the highest courts in different provinces and in the country. And so, part of the work that we've been doing for, just over 42 years is really working to correct that narrative in a way that really reflects the agencies of African Canadians in terms of pushing for change and making a difference. And so when we talk about, some of the things that are celebrated as part of Canada's history and part of Canada's narrative today, things such as the Human Rights Code and open immigration, as Cecil was just mentioning, these things came about because of the activism of people of African descent here in Canada. And so some of the work that we do is around education for the general public, and particularly developing resources and offering programs for young people to, learn a more accurate representation of Canadian history.
So Megan, as a thespian and a writer, have you felt the unique difference that was articulated in the former sentiment about the characterization of racism in Canada?
Oh, absolutely. When I saw that headline, I was just laughing and speaking to my mother about like the racial gaslighting, and that followed up by a lot of the sort of theater companies and arts organizations that are predominantly white spaces in terms of their admin and in terms of their programming, showing these signs of solidarity when everyone has, myself with a lot of other Black folks have stories of feeling, of stories of violence, really, of microaggressions, of all of these things. And so it was just really sort of keeping in line with this, again, this narrative of, well, Canada's not as bad, that doesn't happen here. So it's sort of consistent with how some people hold up this myth of what Canada is, but it's for people who know the truth, it has been, this didn't just start this week, and it's something that it's now is like, okay, so what are the actions behind it? So even Doug Ford, I believe he had another comment along the lines of, okay, maybe I was wrong or something. He should maybe read Cecil's book. It's like it's also, I think, a slap in the face to all of the incredible work that, people on this panel have done and activists and people who've come before in terms of educating and putting in place the policies that are in place today. So I just see that as such a direct, such a sort of disgraceful comment.